Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are the UX design people. My name is Blessing, your channel host. In this channel, we share concepts, ideas, principles, inspirations, and everything related to UX design. In this video, we are going to continue from where we stopped last week. Last week, we did a comprehensive tutorial for beginners on Figma, especially the Figma's new user interface. We covered introduction to Figma. We covered the new Figma interface and basic shapes and elements. If you haven't seen the first part of this video, please just go to my channel and you will see this video, Figma tutorial for beginners, with one on the side. So that's part 1. Today we are going to be doing part 2, and in today's video we are just going to cover grid system, auto layout, components, prototyping, real-time collaboration, sharing designs, version control, and plugins. So this is basically what we want to do today, and it's really simple. I made it as basic as possible, and I'm confident that at the end of this video you'll be able to create stunning designs on your own. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and turn on your notifications so that you know when my content drops. If you do enjoy my content, please like, comment, subscribe, and share to your friends, especially those in UX design. Welcome back. Without wasting much of our time, let's get started with layout grids. Layout grids are a way to organize your content on the page. If you click on a frame and you navigate down to the end of your page, you navigate down here, you will see something like layout grid. So let me do this from scratch. I press F to activate the frame. Then you choose any frame you want here. Let me just pick the iPhone 16. So I have my frame here, and to see the layout grid, you just come here. You see a layout grid. If you click on the canvas, you are not going to see it. So you have to click on a frame to see your layout grid. Now, when you see the layout grid, to create a new one, you select this plus, add layout grid. But if you've already created layout grids and you've assigned them to styles, you can just come here and apply styles. But as you can see, there are no grid styles here. I haven't created any one. We're just going to start creating a new one from scratch. So to create your first layout grid, you click on this plus, and then you can already see that there are some lines on your frame. Don't worry, we are going to set it up so that it looks good. So what we are trying to do, what we are trying to do is to make, once you click on that, it activates the previous layout grids on the frame. So you can see that I have layout grids on these screens. This pink or light red boxes, they make up the layout grid. The layout grids can be in form of grids, that is these tiny boxes that you can see here, these tiny boxes, or in form of rows and columns. I'll show us now. So right here you have grid. If you want to change it, you click on this box, layout grid settings. Once you click on it, you will see the size and the color, but these ones only apply to the grid, that is the tiny boxes. If you want to change it to a row or a column, you come here to select it. So usually I set up the columns first. That's just what I do. It's not like a general rule of thumb or something. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 columns. Here you see that the count is 5. If I try changing it to 4, you can see it's now 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what the count is for. Then the color, you can change the color to whatever you want. You can make it dark and just reduce the opacity. Then the type, this type means, let me close this. This type means, do you want it to stretch across the page, or do you want it to be centralized? That's center, this center here. If you click on it, you will see that it's now in the middle. All the columns are now in the middle. So if you change anything, they will just spread out from the center. If you change it to, let's say 10, you can see from the center. Let me do 6 so that you can see it. Yes, so it's going to just be in the center. Then let's go back to 4. If you set it to right, you have it on the right. If you set it to left, you have it on the left. So without wasting much of our time, I'll just set mine to stretch, because I want it to stretch across the screen. Then this width is auto because it's stretching. You can't really set a width because it's stretching. If you set it to center now, you can set a width because you can control it since it's anchored to the middle of the screen. So if you set the width to 40, let's use 40, you will see that the rows, the columns are going to get thicker. Can you see? So let's go back to stretch. Then the margin is the space between the edge and the column. The first column and the edge, you want to set some space. And then the last column and the edge, you want to set some space. So let's set 16, because this is a mobile frame. So I can set 16, I can set 20, but let's just go with 16. Then the gutter, this gutter is the space between one column and the other. You have the gutter, so you can change this one as well to 16. It depends on what you are trying to do. So yes, you've set your grid columns, right? So you can see now that everything is good. If you want to start designing, let's say you want to put another frame inside, you can just come here and drag your frame out. So if you click on F, you will see that this thing is selected. The frame tool is selected. I explained the frame tool in my first video. So you come here and drag. So as you are dragging, you can see that the grids are giving you like a guide. Every time you get to a column, it kind of lets you know that, okay, do you want to stop here? Do you want to continue? Something like that. It just gives you like this red line. Can you see the red line that guides you, that makes your designs accurate? I don't really need this right now because I'm not even sure where to put it until I set the row. So now you click on that same frame and you go back here. So the thing about layout grids is that you can set multiple layout grids in the same frame. So you select it, you see that the 4 columns one, the first one that we did is here, is now below. Okay, then the tiny boxes you can see now, the light red tiny boxes you can see now are now on top. And now you can change this one to whatever you want. So I want to change it to row. Okay, you can see now that it has given us 5 rows automatically. It gave us 5 rows. You can now select this box to start customizing it. So if you want another column, you can do this. If you want the grid, you can do this. But I want a row. So you just select your row. You can just do this count. You can make it auto. It means the row should just keep occurring until like infinity. So you don't want to like say, okay, do 4 rows for me, because the screen might get longer and you don't want that to happen. So if you use auto, then it means you won't use stretch, because you can see now that it's not given. The row is just one long row. So you want to change the type to top. For this, you now start changing the figures so that you get the exact number of rows that you want. So for this height right now is 16 pixels. That's why the rows are slender. Like each of these red lines is 16 pixels tall. So you want to change this to probably 80. If you do 80, you can see now that they are much taller. So you have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and some. So you have like 8.5 rows here. So you can just keep playing with it until you get what you want. So let me do 108. I'll do 108 for the height. Then the offset. This offset is like the margin. Now for the offset, you just set another figure. So let me use 64. So I've used 64. You can see that it has shifted from the top. It's now starting from this part. So our first row is starting from here. Then the next one, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the last one, you won't see the second offset because you set your count to auto. So you don't really see the end of the rows. If you keep increasing, you will see that it's creating more rows because it's like infinity. So basically what this means is that if you really want like a fixed number of rows, you can just come here and set the count. let's say 5, it's going to do 5, and then you set it to stretch if you want it to stretch across from top to bottom. I hope that's clear. So when you stretch it, they are going to stretch. So if you expand the page, the rows are also going to stretch. So that's basically what these mean. So now that you've set it up, let me see. Yes, now that you've set it up, you can now start adding your inner layers. Like if you want to add a frame here, you can add a frame. Okay, you can add a frame. So I just added a frame. I want to see if it's correct. So as you are dragging it, like I said, you are going to see these red lines that will guide you. So the red lines I've shown, I know that I'm in the right place. Then drag, and that's it. So if you want to see what your page looks like without the layout grids, you can click on this frame. Let's first change the background. Let's change the background to something like off-white. 𝗙𝗵𝗴𝗴 is off-white, or let's use F4 so that it's more distinct. Then this frame that I drew inside, I'm going to make it white, pure white. So now that it's white, you know that you can't really see the difference because of the layout grids. So you come to your frame and you go here and hide the grids. Can you see it now? Once you hide the grid, you will see your frames clearly. You will see where this one is and where that one is. But if you don't want to do that, I've undone it, so everything is showing now. You can go to this top bar, the status bar. On this status bar, you will see view. This is where you control your view options. So to toggle off layout grids, you can just select this, and you will see that all the layout grids on the page, they didn't disappear. They've just been hidden. You won't see it right now, although it's there, but you won't see it. So if you want to view it again, just come back and toggle it on. That's basically what layout grids are. Now let me show you more examples. Let me show you the one I did over here. You can see the rows and the columns. If I click on it, the rows are here, 80 pixels. I set the count to auto so that it doesn't end. Then the color is light red. The type is top, so it's fixed to the top. Then the height is 80. That is how tall the column, the row is. Then the offset is 40. From here, from the top here to this place is 40. Then the gutter is 20. That is the space between one row and the next row is 20. Okay. Then the next one is the columns that I did. I did 4 columns. That is 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see the color. Let me make the color something else so that you can see. Yeah, can you see it? So the columns are these gray ones, these long bars. Then the type is stretch. I want it to stretch across the page. The width is not set because it's automatic since it's going to stretch. The margin is 16, that is from this point to this first column. Then the gutter is 16, that is the space between one column and the next. Okay, the next page here is showing layout grids inside a layout grid. So apart from the fact that you can layer your layout grids, you can stack them up like this. You can add multiple in a frame. You can also add layout grids to the frames that are inside your frame that already has a layout grid. So you can see that this parent frame has this setup over here. Then inside it, this frame inside it also has layout grid. If you look closely, you see these 3 tiny rows. 1, 2, 3. They are the rows that I set. The margin is 16 and the gutter is 4. That is the space between this one and this one is 4. Just very tiny in between here. I have 3 columns here, 1 for the image and 2 for the description, the heading and the description. So those are my 3 columns. So the color is also green, the type is stretch, the margin is 20, that is from here to here. And then the gutter is 28, that is from here to here. Let me hide this from you so that you will see what it looks like. Yeah, so you can use Shift G to show or hide your layout grids. So what I did was to add I want my image to be here, to just cover this. So it's inside. You can see that this frame is inside this frame, right? This frame, let me add a stroke, a black stroke, so that you can see it. This frame now has this one inside it. So this one inside, I'm going to try to fit it into the frame so that we can have something like the one I did earlier. So this is it. I'll add color, let's say D9, 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 D9. So basically that's the stuff. And then if you want to add text, you can just keep typing one card for your bank accounts, and then you drag it and drag it until you are where you want it to be. Now remember that since you've already added a margin here, this text cannot be here, you understand? So you have to follow the rules that you set. So this is the column. Your stuff should not go beyond this line. Okay, so that's how it is. If you want to add more text, you can duplicate this one and add more, but you just know that everything you're adding must not go beyond the settings that you've made. Okay, so everything must be between this and this, like that. So everything must be like this is where you're allowed to work. Okay, yeah, let me remove the grid so that you can see. You can see now, this is what it looks like. You can continue finessing it until you get what you want, but basically this is what layout grids are. You can just do it. You see that this one is a little bit finessed and I added a button. I'm going to show you more about this later. Now if you say you want to use layout grids, make sure that you draw your layout, and when you are duplicating your frame, let's say you duplicate this frame, you see that the layout grids are following it. Okay, if you click on F and you create a new frame, iPhone 16, it doesn't come with the frame, but you can copy and paste your existing layout grids by doing copy properties. You can see it, Command Alt C, copy properties, and then you go to the fresh page and then you paste the properties, paste properties. Okay, so everything transfers. I mean your settings, not the content. Your settings here will transfer here. Now that we are done with layout grids, let's move to auto layout. So these layout grids, I call them like manual layouts, because there's the auto one that you don't need to start drawing and ruling. And to be honest, you will not see layout grids in my work. Like I rarely use it. I don't use it at all. It was when I was learning from scratch, like back then, that I learned how to use grids. And to be honest, there's really nothing special about them. You can use them, especially when you are not using auto layouts. You should have some form of layout structure. Okay, so it's either you use the auto layout or you are using the layout grids. It's auto layouts because it does it automatically for you, and to be honest, it's one of Figma's greatest features, because it makes you design so effortlessly. So this thing that we just did here, let me bring it out. Yeah, this one, let me remove the grid. So here you have your box, and it's 16 to the top, 16 to the bottom, according to what we said, 20 to the right, and this one is 20 to the left. Everything is according to what we said. Now we're going to create our new auto layout frame. So I create this frame and make sure that the width is the same as this one. This is 361. This one is also 361. Okay, fine. So here we have it. Now if you copy this and just paste into this, you have it here, 1620. Let's make this one what's this height, 108, right? Let's make this one also 108. Okay, so you have this one here. If you take the parent and you come here and you select auto layout, see use auto layout, this is where you do it. Either you do it here or you just press Shift A at the same time. So do it here, you see that it creates an auto layout frame for you. Now I want you to be very observant about something. Let me undo it. You can see over here you have your layout, you have your normal layout. If you just hover on this, you see resize to fit. Don't click on it yet. It just means resize to fit whatever is inside. If I click on it now, it's going to wrap itself closely around whatever is inside. See, can you see it? That's what it means. But the second one here is the auto layout function. So when you click on it, it turns this normal frame into an auto layout frame. And the difference is that by the time you turn on your auto layout, this part is going to change. Here you have your dimensions, right? In addition to the dimensions, you are going to see some auto layout controls. So let me just do that right now. Can you see it? So you have over here auto layout, the resizing, the dimensions are still there, but is renamed as resizing. So over here, it's not just setting the width or setting the height, it's setting the width in relation to something else. You understand? So let's start with the child, the one inside. This child is filling the width of the parent. That's what this means. So this child, let me just label it child, and this one parent. Yeah, so the child is filling the width of the parent. It means that wherever, like no matter how wide this parent is, this child is going to keep filling the space available. That's what it means. So the parent has a fixed width, and you see it, fixed width of 361, and the height is 108 according to what is here. So this child is just maintaining the properties of the parent. That is, it's filling to fit the width, but the height is fixed. So if the height is fixed and you increase it to 108, what happens to the parent? The parent increases in height as well, because the parent is hugging in terms of height. Look at it. So you can see now that the height of the parent has changed. Basically, the way it works is that if the child is feeling something, if the child is feeling the parent, that means the parent must have a fixed width, or is also feeling another parent. I don't know if you get it. So under auto layouts, we've talked about the resizing. You can play with this in your free time. You have fixed width, you have all content, you also have fill container. So if this parent has a grandparent, then the fill container will appear. Let me do that now. So I've added another auto layout frame on top of the parent. Can you see? So here I will name it grandparent. So your grandparent has a parent and then the child. So the grandparent right now, the width is 393. So if you check the parent is now filling the grandparent. So before, fill container was not showing. If I remove this parent or make a copy of it and bring it out, can you see the parent is no longer under the grandparent? You will see that you will not see fill container because there is literally no container to fill. That's what it means. So fill container only appears if there is a container to fill, and you know a container must have either a fixed width or is filling another bigger container, a bigger parent, a grandparent. That's what it means. Let me delete this. So all content just means hug whatever is inside, like just maintain your natural size. Okay, yeah. Then this minimum width and maximum width, these ones are basically simple. You might say, okay, fill the container, but if you add max width, don't extend. Like now currently it's 361. Let me set it to 3. No, let me make it fill container. Yeah, it's filling the container, as you can see. It's filling the container, but the width is 361. So if you want to set a maximum width, you can say, okay, fill the container, but don't be more than 320. You can see right here. So this grandparent, I'm going to color it something else so that you can see clearly. Okay, let me make it blue. Now this is the parent. The parent is trying to fill the container, but I've already set a restriction. And you see it now, the W has these restriction signs. So it's saying, okay, you can fill, but you can't exceed 320. To remove it, you just click on this arrow and remove max width. It's that simple. Now for the height is the same thing. You have fixed height, you have hug contents, that is hug whatever height is available. Then fill container, that is expand, like grow as tall as you want, provided there's space. You understand? If I set this one to fill container now, you will see that as the parent is increasing, as the grandparent is increasing, the parent is also going to increase, because the parent is filling the height. Can you see it? So I will set it back to hug contents. Now it's back to hug contents. Set the grandparent back to hug contents. Okay, so that is what it means. So I've explained resizing. Now for direction and gap, these ones are pretty easy. This grandparent now is facing it, like the direction is vertical. It means that anything else that you add to this grandparent is going to be under the parent. So it's going to be getting longer and longer to the bottom. Let me duplicate this parent now, make many parents. And you see, it's going to be long. But if you change the grandparent to this, to the horizontal layout, you can see that the parents are now filling the container, but they are going sideways, they are going horizontal, and they are looking small like this because they are literally filling the container. They are filling the available space left by the grandparent. So if I remove one parent, they will be wider because there's more space. Can you see it? That's how it works. If I remove this parent, wider, there's more space. Remove the last one, is wider. So that's how it works. And if you don't want to do that, let's bring back all the parents. You don't want to do that, you can increase the grandparent and make it long so that the parents will have enough room. Let me delete this so that these parents can be really long. So I'll bring this grandparent back to reasonable size and continue. So I've mentioned direction and gap. Okay, yes, the last one here is to wrap. This wrap means go horizontally, but when you get to a particular point, let's say you get to your fixed width, then you start to overflow. You start to continue on another line, So let me do this one with this box. Now for the parent, let me set the parent to horizontal layout. Okay, and then this box, this box has a fixed width 88 by 76. So if the box should duplicate, you can see that it's just going, it keeps multiplying, but you can't see it yet. You can't see it because this one, the width is filling the grandparent, and the grandparent width is also fixed. You can't see the extra children because they are like outside, they're outside this family. So if you want to bring them in, what you're going to do to the parents to expose the other children is that you do this wrap. When you do the wrap, you can see that the other children are now brought in. That's what it means. You can just use the simple marriage analogy that, okay, let me first start. Okay, yeah, so you have one child. This is the parent. You have one child, 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have 9 children. You can see all of them here under this parent, but they are like, maybe these 3 are like just the legit children that are born within or inside wedlock. Let me make purple. Yes, the other children are like outside wedlock. We are so sorry, but to bring them into this family, you need to adopt them. So it's like you're wrapping yourself around the children, and that's it. So they've now come into the family. Everybody's together now. You can see everybody. So you have your legitimate children and these not so legitimate children. So anyway, that's by the way. Just know that if you have elements that are outside, it's either you wrap them or you increase the size of the parent. You understand? So that's how to wrap. Now for alignment, let me duplicate and make all these disappear. Okay, now you have these 3 children. The alignment of a parent is where you want the children to be anchored. Okay, so this alignment, if you say it should be top left, that means all the children will be aligned to the top left. You get? So the alignment is not for the parents, it's for the children. The same applies to the grandparents. The alignment of these grandparents, if you set it to center, it means that if the grandparent gets bigger, the parent, this one, the grandparent's child, which is the parent, is going to be stuck to the center. It's going to be anchored to the center. So let me see. Look at it. Can you see? It's in the center. This one is still filling the container because that's what we did. But let me make it all contents now. You can see that it's in the center. So no matter how big or small the grandparent is, the parent is always going to be in the center, because that's how you set the grandparent. So you can see now these blue dots are representing this parent. Now if you click on the grandparent again, if you do the top center, the parent will jump up. This, it jumps down. So just imagine that this alignment part is your parent, and wherever you position your cursor and click is where the children are going to face, or where the children are going to be swept to. So you just play with it in your free time. Let me explain gap. So this is the gap, this is direction, the horizontal, vertical, and wrap. But this is the gap. So the gap just tells you how much space you want between each child. So for these grandparents, if you duplicate the parents, you have two parents here, parent and parent. You are saying how much space. So you first click the grandparents, and then you define how much space you want between the parents. So let's say you want 40. Can you see it? It's larger. You can also control it from here. Can you see it? So as you are doing it, this part will also be changing. Look at it once again. Yeah. So that's how it is. Let me just set this one back to let me do 64. So that's that about the gap. And if it's vertical, you can also set the gap. It's still 64. You can make it 80. You can make it anything. Then if you do the wrap, you have two gaps for wrap, because you know for wrap they are going both horizontally and vertically. So you will set the gap for this one, and then you set for when it starts going vertical. So let's do it with this one, with the blended family. So here you have 3 legitimate children and 6 illegitimate children. Now you want to set the gap between the 3 legit ones and the 6 other children. Now you come here, the gap between the vertical gap is 16, but the horizontal gap, you can just say let this one be 24. So no, that's too. Let's do 80 so that you will see it. Can you see it now? You will see that they are now well spaced vertically compared to this space. So you can just use it the way you want. This one, you can use it to easily set up, designs for like rows of chairs or tables, reservations, airline seats, and things like that. Then for padding is just the space. So this padding is what is replacing the normal margin for the layout grid. Remember that when we're doing layout grid, we had to set the margin from the edge of the frame to the first column. So right here, we are doing the padding automatically. We just set something like 40. You see that it's going to shift. And you see, this is now 40. From here to here is 40. Then from the top to this place, right now is 16. Now let me set 80. Can you see it? So you have 80 here and 40 here. That's basically what auto layout is. And if you want to learn more about it, although it's the old Figma UI, but it's like it's a very comprehensive video as well. You can check out my profile, check out the videos under this playlist. You will see auto layout part 1, you will see auto layout part 2, auto layout part 3, and just go there to learn more about it. You will see all these alignments and the likes. You will see how to use auto as well. Let me quickly explain what auto means. Auto means that instead of having a fixed gap between elements, you want to make it automatic so that the space inside, the space within is not set. It only changes according to the parent. Here I'm going to set this one back to horizontal layout, and the space here, let me make it 40. So the space between this parent and this parent is 40 because it's fixed. But if you change it to auto, you can see that right now the space is just automatic. So it pushed the parents away from each other. That is, set an automatic space between the parents. So anywhere like if you expand the grandparents, the parents are going to keep maintaining that automatic space. So it's like you are just placing a divide between this parent and this parent. Okay, don't go close to each other and all of that. But once you alter this auto, can you see that I've altered it? It has changed it to a number. And if you expand and collapse, it's not going to change these parents anymore because you've already set like a fixed gap between them. So basically just play around with it. Auto means automatic space between them. If you keep going, the parents are literally going to overlap each other. So that if you want to make this auto layout, you can easily grab your elements that are in the same group. And I don't know if you know about the box model. The box model in design, in UI design, it simply means that like for everything you do, every layer you do, it's like something inside a box, inside a bigger box, inside a bigger box, inside a bigger box. So basically you have this, our mobile app, something with the heading. These two are siblings. You want to put them in a box. So I click on the two of them at the same time. That is, click on one, then press shift and click on the second one. This is the way you can select multiple things at a time. You just press shift and select all the things you want to. Then you click on shift A at the same time, shift and A. You see that your auto layout frame is created already. And this one is looking somehow because the height is fixed. You don't want the height to be fixed. Make it all content. You check out the individual elements and see if it's really obeying what you want. So for the height of this one, you also want it to hug content. For this one, you want it to hug content. So now you can see that both of them are in the same frame, auto layout. You can change the gap to 8 or just leave it as 4. It depends on what you want. What you are going to do is straightforward. You just click on the parent. Since you only have 2 left, you don't want to create unnecessary frames. You click on this parent and you now apply your auto layout. So it's that simple. It has applied it. You can see that all those direction, gap, alignment, padding, they've now shown, they've been displayed. Before they weren't there. Now you can go ahead and select all these figures. You can make this one 20 and make, okay, the padding is okay, the top padding, and just make it 20 as well. So that's basically it. Now this is another example of auto layout. You will see that here, I told you a box inside a box inside a box. This frame contains this title, then this frame, and this auto layout frame. When you see an auto layout frame, you are going to know it because once you click on it, this auto layout is going to show up. So it contains different frames. And these different frames, let me see how many. We have 4 frames inside. Yeah. So that's a box inside this box, then inside this big box, and this big box is inside this layout grids frame. So that's that about auto layout. Let's move on to frames and components. So I've explained frames in my previous video. You can check it out. I explained things that you can do to frames and the likes. So in this video, I'm just going to jump straight to components. Components are very interesting because there's like a million things you can do with components, and it's impossible for me to teach everything in one video. So I'm just going to do like the most basic thing. The component is, let me first show you what it looks like. Let me do buttons, the basic one. So each thing that you see here, each purple block that you see here is a component. So these components are represented by this diamond-shaped icon. Yeah, and they are usually purple. So by the time you click on them, each thing that is inside is like a variant. So a component is something that contains different variants of one thing. All these are variants of one another. A component is simply something that you can reuse in your design. Basically, when you create a component, you are creating it for future use. There are basic things that you should know about a component, and I'll show you as we progress. So let me try to create a new button now. I'm going to title the button sign up. Okay, so you have sign up. I will create an auto layout frame by doing the shift A. So this is it. I would name it button. anything can be a component. It can be a frame, it can be text, it can be shapes, it can be anything. So far it's a layer on your page, you can make it a component. You can't do sections, obviously. You can't make a section a component. Let's try that out. You have your section here. This is a section. You will see that you can't make this a component. You won't see create component at all here. You can just convert it to a frame, or you ungroup the section. But if you click on this button, because this is a frame, it's an auto layout frame, and you right click, you will see create component. Okay, so here you have your button, is a frame. Let's customize the frame. Let's make it a white button, black text, and then the button, let's give it some corner radius of 8. So here you have this padding. I'll make it 12. Yeah, the height is 40. This looks good. It's hugging contents and all of that. So here you have your simple button. Okay, if you want to create the component, you just come here, create component. Your component is now called button. Let's rename it so that it won't confuse us. I already have a component called button, so I'm calling this one white button. My component is white button. But what can I do with this component? I'm going to make this as very simple and practical as possible so that you don't get lost. What can you do with this component? If you scroll up to this part, you will see add property. This is it here, add property. So if you click on add property or this plus, you will see the different things that you can add. You can add a variant, a text, a boolean, and an instance swap. So I explained these ones in my video, prototype triggers and Figma interactions. Yeah, they are there. So all these have been explained there. I might still make a new video on components from scratch. But then if you just go through my playlist, you will see something and it will explain everything. So here I'm just going to do the variant. You can try all this in your free time or go to Figma's website to learn more. Now this is your white button. If you add a variant, it's going to create a variant of this button. So here you've done it, right? If you open this, you have your variant. This is your variant. Name the property something like size. Properties are just things that you use to describe your button, your component rather. So your component can have a size, it can have a status, right? If you want to do that, if you want to add another property, you can just click on the component itself. You can add variant and name it status, and the value is default. If you create the property, you will see it here. So you can just keep adding properties. Okay, you want to create multiple variants of this one, you click on plus, you can see you have a new variant. And one good thing about auto layout is that it can be applied to components. So if you come here, you just apply your auto layout so that it will look decent. 20, I added a gap of 20. So for this one, it's already telling you that this thing is looking like the first one. You need to change the name. And you see the properties and values of these variants are conflicting. Change the applied values on this variant to resolve this. If you click on the first one, it's going to say the same thing, because both of them are saying size is default, status is default. Size is default, status is default. So which one do you change? The first one, let me make the size medium. Okay, medium. Now this one is default. You see that it's no longer bringing up that disclaimer or that warning that the stuff is conflicting, because now this one is different. This is a medium button with default status, while this one is a default button. But here I want to change it to large. So this is a large button with a default status. But how do you know it's large? You've not even changed the size. That's what you go ahead to do. I change this one to 48, then the padding, increase it to probably 24 and make it all content. Then this one, I make it all content as well. This button, I don't want it to fill the container. I want to make it all content so that it will be clear that this is small. I mean, this is medium, while this is large. So So you can see that both of them are now variants with different names. That's basically how to create a component. If you want to create more components for this one, you can add another one. And this, you want to say, okay, this is medium, but the status of this one should be disabled. Okay, so if this one is medium default button and this one is medium disabled button, then you need a large disabled button because you already have a large default button. So you come here and click add variant. You're going to add a variant of this, and then you call this one disabled. Once you start typing disabled, you will see the suggestion, and there you go. So for both of them, you just click both of them, the disabled ones, and you start editing it. You can just make this I have a disabled, yeah, and then the text disabled, yeah, default. So it looks disabled now, it looks unclickable. So these are the variants that I created out of this component. And now if you bring it out, I think I mentioned it in my previous video, no, not my previous video, the one with the Figma prototype triggers, that a variant is a variant when it's still inside the component, but once you bring it out, it becomes an instance. That is an occurrence. Do you get? It's an instance now. So you can see local instance. Okay, if you go to the main component, this is the main component. You understand? So right now it's a variant, current variant. Click on any one, current variant. But once you bring it out, it's a local instance. And the thing is, you can just make copies. You can't bring this one out. Once you bring it out, it creates a new component of this button. So basically that's how it is. You just make sure that when you are trying to bring out, let's say you want to use this sign up button, you copy it, you don't remove it. If you remove it, you are going to ruin this component. So you just copy this. I've copied it, then you want to paste it here. That's it. So you have your local instance. Yeah. Now this component can be played with. Now, you know, the one we brought out is the medium default button. What if you say, okay, you cut the button, you are now working on another page, or you're on another file. Let's see, let's come to this light or dark mode. You want to paste the button here. Okay, this is the button that you pasted, the sign up button. All right, let's go back to the main component. Can you see? That's how to go to the main component. If you want to return to that instance, you use this return to instance that is under this component over here above the toolbar. So you return to instance, you will see the instance over here. So let's say you want to make changes to the main component, that is how you go. You just right click, or you you know how to bring up the options already. So you just go to main component and you edit it. So all of them, I want to give them a stroke. So I've selected all of them. I want to give them a very light stroke. So don't worry about all these things that you are seeing. I'm going to explain how to create them. These are called variables. When you see stuff like this with the square edges or the rounded edges, the round ones are called styles, while these ones are called variables. You don't have to worry about it right now. So I've added like a light stroke. Can you see it? I've added a light stroke. You can now go ahead to the instance, go back to the instance. You can see the stroke is now there. Now this sign up button, let's say you are now working on this page and you have a lot of components everywhere. You want to change the size to large. You come here and just change it to large. So this is something you can do on your instance. You just start changing it. Okay, I want large disabled, I want medium disabled. So it just changes, it just selects from one of the previously created variants in your component, and to replace it by whatever you selected. So yeah, I think that's straightforward enough for components. Let's quickly move on. Now we are done with designing layouts. You can now do layouts, grids, auto layout, frames, and components. Let's talk about prototyping. Prototyping is pretty easy. I'm going to use this one as like an example. So prototyping just means a way of connecting your frames and displaying them. Okay, So you've done this frame, you've done this frame, you've done this frame. You can see that from what it looks like, this page is like your splash screen. Okay, you have welcome, maybe you just downloaded an app, you have welcome, then it takes you to the home page. Let's just assume that this is the home page of your app. Let's just assume that this is the home page of your app. This page opens when you click on any of these cards. Okay, so from what I did here, this is your prototype, the prototype view of your properties panel. I've explained this in my last video. So to go to prototype, you just select this. Any connection that has been made already, you are going to see it here. Now, previously, I have linked this parent and this card to this screen. And the way I did it, I just came here, I clicked on the card, or the card that I want to lead to this page. Now, to connect this, let me just disconnect this one and do it again. So I've disconnected it. From here, you see interactions. What you want to do is that from this page, from this welcome screen, you don't need to click anything. There's literally nothing to click here. After some time, you want these projects to show. So from this welcome screen, you come here and you see interactions. Click on it, and the trigger will be time. That is after delay. After some delay, you can do 2 seconds. That's 2000 milliseconds. After you've done that, you are trying to say, okay, after delay, it should do something. Now that's the action you want it to do. You want it to navigate to what? To the destination, and the destination is my project. So after some delay, you want this welcome to navigate to my project, and if you play it, you will see that it works that way. Now there are 2 ways of playing your prototype. I explained in my previous video, the part 1 of this video. So right now I'm going to just preview. So if I preview, you will see the mobile view. You will see it here, and after 2 seconds it's going to navigate to this. Can you see it? After 2 seconds it literally navigated. So if I go back after 2 seconds, it's going to come back to this my project. That's literally how it works. Now for this card, I want it to move to this. I want it to navigate to this page when you click on it. So here I'm going to click the interactions again. The trigger this time will be on click, not after delay, because I want to click on it. Now the action will be the same, navigate to project description. So if you click on this, all the things that are clickable are going to be blue if you click on any random part. So if you click on this, you can now see 1 card for all your account. This is the project description, and this back to my project, I already did it here too. If you click on this interactions part, you will see on click. So when you click on this button, it should take you back. So it's not just navigate to that we have change to, we have back, we have scroll to. So right now I choose to use back. So I want it to go back to the previous page. I'm saying no matter what the previous page is, just take me back there. So that's basically what the prototyping tool is for. It's for dictating or for controlling how your layers move, how your frames move, how they work together, for instructing your developers about the workflow. And it's also very good for what's it called, for presentations. You can use it for presentations to show people how the app works, and even to test. You can just give somebody a link to the prototype and say, okay, please help me check it out, what do you think, and things like that. So all the places that you've put the on click, after delay, everything is going to show, everything is going to be tested, since they are clickable or they are draggable. That's basically what basic prototyping is. For advanced prototyping, I realized that I have to make another video, because it has like really advanced stuff, like really advanced stuff. And advanced prototyping is not available to everyone. It's for people on a paid plan, like this one. Let me see if I can do, like, okay, now you see that right here we've already added an action to navigate to. You can add another action here to navigate to maybe something else, or to scroll to something else. Let's say when you've gotten to this page, you should now scroll to something else. Or when you've navigated to this place, it should now open something or close something. maybe when you get to this page, you should open a modal. You can do that with advanced prototyping. It just means that you add another action to this. Let me quickly make a quick example. Open overlay. So you want to open overlay. Let me see if I have an overlay to open, a small one. Parent. Yeah, this parent will open. Then I'll add a background, close when clicking outside. Okay, so that's it. So this interaction now has two actions and is triggered by on click. So let's quickly practice that. After 2 seconds, you have this my projects page, and if I click on this, it's going to bring up this project description page and also this modal, this parent modal, this card. So let me do that right now. You can see it. So it's like, oh, you're sending somebody from a page on your website. By the time they get to another page, or by the time they click on this, take them to another page. But when they get to that other page, display this modal. And this modal, once I click outside, is going to disappear. You can see it's not coming back until you go back here and click on this again. So that's basically what advanced prototyping is. And you can use it for even more things. You can use it to set variables, to change variables, to do like a lot of things, a plethora of things. This is it. You can add more actions here. You can see that the layout has even changed because it's expecting you to add more actions. And set variable mode, conditional. You can add conditional. If something is something, then do something. So it's something that I'm going to take time to create a new video to explain advanced prototyping. Then the same thing with testing prototypes. Testing prototypes, I'm just going to link it. I'll do a video with the two of them and just get that one going. So let me just put this check mark here because yes, I've done an example, a very simple example of advanced prototyping. And testing prototypes is just basically sending your prototypes. Let me show you how to do it. So this prototype, this one, let me show you this. So this flow 1, if you come to the place where you can preview your prototype on a much larger screen, you will see your flows, all the flows that you've created on this side of the page. And if you click on the flow, you can share the link. You can use different external tools. Just Google them. Prototyping tools. There's 𝗙𝗶𝗴𝗺. There are different tools that you can use to set up your prototypes, even without using Figma. Yeah, but then I just prefer to use this one and send the prototype to people to look at and all of that. So this is where you come to your flow. You can use the flow 1. This is the flow 1, and you can share the prototype. Can you see? So you can just add people and remove them, you know, just like customize the access the way you want. That's that about prototypes. Let's quickly move to collaboration and sharing. We'll soon get to the end of this video, don't worry. Real-time collaboration was explained in my previous video. I think I mentioned where you can see other people working on your designs at the same time. You can even use, look at this, you can use this to communicate. You just press / on your phone and you will see this thing. You can quickly type, just do it, and it disappears in a matter of seconds. But then it's something that you can quickly use to tell someone, provided they are online and they are on the same screen as you are at the moment. So basically that is how it is. And then this cursor, you know, if you are plenty working on a file at the same time, or you are more than one working on a file at the same time, the other person will see your name, they will see your cursor. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, this is what it looks like. You can see this Alex, Francis. These are going to be your names, the names of the people that are working on the file at that time. So they are going to show. Over here, you will also see the circles containing the profile picture or the icon, the initials rather, the initials of the people that are working on the file, that are online at that time. So you can see it's like real-time collaboration. It's very, very good. You can try that in your free time. The people that are not editing, so far they are on your file, you will see their names. You can let them follow you. See, spotlight me. If you do that, then they'll be able to see you wherever you are. Your page is going to be showing. They will literally be following you, so you don't really need to make them an editor before they can do this. You can just share them the link, and once they have an account with Figma, their name is going to show. If they don't have an account with Figma, they are just going to be like anonymous or something like that. In terms of sharing designs is pretty simple. There are different ways to share designs. You have the offline and the online methods. For offline, you can export. I explained export in my previous video. Let me go back to design. You can see here, you can export this frame, this whole frame. If you preview it, can you see this is what you are going to have as a picture, PNG. If you do it as a JPEG, as SVG, as PDF, it's up to you. Totally, it's up to you. So you can export like this. You have like an offline copy of this frame. Then another thing you can do to share your project offline is, let me look for it, 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗁𝗃. Yes, this is it, 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗁𝗃. This method will help you save like the entire file, this file, as .fig, and you can transfer the file to someone and they can open it on their own computer, on their Figma. Do you understand? So it's like wrapping up this whole project in this format and sending it to someone. You see, it's downloading all the images. So it's something that it just like wraps up your project. Can you see the UX design practice, the UX design people design practice? It saves like the whole thing as a Figma file, a whole Figma file. So I don't want to save it right now. I don't need to save it. So basically that's another way to share your project. Then I think the third one, I think there is one more way to share. Okay, export frames as PDF. I think that's pretty much the same as exporting in this corner. So you can export frames to PDF over here. Then if you want to do the online method, you just click here and do share. So here you just select, you can either copy the link of the project here, or you send it to people by name or email. You can also share the prototype separately here. Let me also mention that when you are prototyping, apart from this flow and the pages that are going to be outlined here, you can come to these settings and change the width, the scaling options and advanced settings. You can just like do all this in your free time. I've talked about tagging people, I've talked about commenting and all of that, using this comment feature in my last video. So you can just use this one to draw a comment and tag different people. So that works. That's very fine. It's free for everyone. Now libraries are pretty straightforward. Libraries are just like a collection of your assets, of your components. So all these local assets are the components that have been created in this file. If you want to add more libraries, I think I mentioned it before that there are libraries in Figma that you can add for free. So you have the iOS, you have the material design, you have the simple design system. This simple one was the one that I adopted here. Okay, so basically you can add more libraries. You can also bring libraries in from your team. So far you guys are in the same team, you can share the library. Like now this my library, this is it. If you come to the file, you just click this arrow, publish library. Once you publish the library, everybody in my team will have access to it. So if they open another file, they'll be able to use the library. And what does my library contain? My library contains these accordion, avatar, buttons, cards, even the white. Let me see if I can. Okay, under these buttons you will see even the white button that we just created. This is it, is under this buttons page. So these are the pages, and under the pages you have your components. So for each library, if you open the assets and you click on each component, you will see it. It will ask you, okay, do you want to modify it or you just want to insert the instance? This button, let's do the white button that we're familiar with. This one, you change it to large, it's bigger, change it to disabled. If you insert it, it's going to just bring it somewhere. This is it. So you can easily insert your what's it called, your instances from your libraries. So that's that about, no, that's not that. One more thing about libraries is that you can import libraries. I've talked about sharing libraries, like taking this library and sharing it, publishing it. If you want to import your own theme projects, your theme library, you can come here, all libraries. You have all libraries here. Okay, you can add more libraries, themes. You can see different libraries that are in this theme that I can add. This is my theme colors, this _𝗙𝗿𝗏 landing page that I added like 3 years ago. It's just in the theme, it's not in this file. If you are very new to Figma, you might not have all this showing on your laptop, but with time you are going to have a lot of libraries that you can make reference to. So now let's move on to version control. Version control is pretty easy. Version control is already automatic. It's inbuilt. Okay, it's inbuilt. Now this file, as I'm working on it, is already getting saved. Like it's saved already. If I move this thing from left to right, it's saved because I'm online. And this shows once your icon or your avatar is showing, it means that your work is saved. Once it's not saved, you will see that this one will not show. And apart from that, you have like another icon somewhere here that is showing like this cloud icon, like it's waiting for your work to be saved, to be backed up. And it's even going to show down here too, above this toolbar, that your file or your changes have not been saved. Do you understand? So when you see this kind of stuff, you know that okay, you need to check your internet connection, you need to make sure everything is going on right. But right now that nothing is wrong, you're online and everything is working well. Let's say you want to save this particular point, or you just want to check. Let's start from checking. You want to check your version history. This is it. Show version history. You can just click on this and you will see all the auto-saved versions. Show older. You're going to see different auto-saved versions from whenever you created the file first and things like that. And I think this has a limit. I think for free versions, like if you're on a free plan, it's like maybe some days, I'm not sure, maybe maximum of a month or 3 months, I'm not sure, but this is a paid file. So that's that. Then if you want to save this particular point, like okay, where I'm at now, I want to save it to version history, you can just click on it and it will, you can name it whatever you want. Let's say you added _𝗏𝗏𝗀. So this one now is just going to be the save here. So by the time you come to this version history, can you see added _𝗏𝗏𝗀 is now there because you've saved it like manually. By the time you come back here, maybe next year, and you want to know exactly when did you save or add the _𝗏𝗏𝗀, you can always come here. By the time you see this added _𝗏𝗏𝗀, you know that okay, I remember saving it on 7th of December 2024. That's basically version history. Another part of this version control is by using dev mode. So developers can actually track how or when you made changes. They can see when, they can see who made the change, and they can see what change that the person made. Let me quickly show you. So you can turn on your dev mode here if you have access to it. Turn it on and you click on something. Just click on this part too. You see this compare changes. So let's say you're a designer and you changed something. The developer has already developed it. It's live, and then you changed it. And you're like, no, you didn't change it. The developer is just going to come here and compare with previous versions. All the previous versions are going to show. And the person that changed the design, the person that updated the design that was already done is going to show there. So you really need to be transparent and all of that. So the frame was created 4:40 p.m. Yeah, and you can see all the auto-save versions that are there. Click on each one and see what was edited. So basically, that's what the dev mode change comparison is. Yeah, that's that about dev control. I'm going to switch back to my normal design mode and leave dev mode. So that's that. Now, other useful features, styles and variables. Like I said earlier, styles are the round things. Let me click on this. These are color styles. Styles for colors are the round things that you will see. They're also reusable. So they are a way they are like a way of storing your atoms, like your colors and your text, in a way that you can easily refer to them. So you are naming them. You are saying, okay, this color should have this name. So everywhere I go, I just come to this color and do all that. So if you want to know how to create styles, create variables, please refer to my video on variables, on light and dark mode. This is where you create your local styles, and this is where you create your local variables. Check my description. You're going to see the link to the video containing how to create variables and how to create styles. So that's that. Let me just create a style just for the purpose of this video. So this fill, this white color, to make it a style, I'll click on this. If you click on this one, it's going to add another fill. So to create a style or to apply an existing style, you click on this one to bring up the styles panel. You can see the styles and variables panel. So all the variables are these ones, while the styles are these ones, or this one is just one. If you want to now create a new one, you now click on this new style or variable, and then when you click on it, if you want a style, you come here. If you want a variable, you come here, and then you name it and save. It's very simple. When you have your styles and variables, it makes your work like super easy, because you don't have to start thinking from scratch, like, oh, what color should I use here, what color should I use here. You can see that when I was creating my button, that's my fine white button. Let me go back to light and dark mode. Where is it? Okay, yes, this one. You see that I didn't have to start for this border. I didn't have to start looking for what color to use for the border, because I already like have this border default color. Okay, and for this black one, if I hover on it, or if I click on it rather, I want to select a style. This is where you select. If you do this one, you are just selecting a raw color. So this is where you select a style or variable. And for text, I have my text default color already. And then for this white background that the button has, this is my background default. So that's literally how it is. But it's best to do this on the component itself, not on this variant, because if you want to make all the buttons change background, then it's better to do it from the component. Basically, that's what it's all about. You can just play with it in your free time. Now, plugins are very interesting. Plugins are just like third-party tools that help supercharge your I'm beginning to sound like ChatGPT. Supercharge your workflow. Yeah, so plugins are third-party tools. They are applications that are embedded in Figma. I would try to use a okay, so you see this Instagram. Let me show you this Instagram logo. Let's say you want to use it in your design. You have this page, you want to like redo the Instagram page. So if you want to bring this Instagram logo, you don't know where to get it, you can click on your canvas, then go to plugins. You can access it through this method or through this method, the top of your screen, your status bar. So you see your saved plugins. I have a lot of plugins, like over 40. Now, this brand fetch is what I will use. Click on this and search Instagram.com. See it. Just look at this. So you don't need to go outside of Figma to start looking for logos and the likes. So this logo, you drag it out and it comes to your file. So you can now use this the way you want. And then this chevron icon is something you get from your assets and all of that. You just continue doing your design. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. That's just an example of a plugin. Another thing you can use plugins to do is there's a plugin called 𝗏𝗏𝗁𝗏. Okay, 𝗏𝗏𝗁𝗏. Let me use it for images. So for all these frames, I want to add pictures to them. So you can use Unsplash. Unsplash will generate images and fill the frames up. Another one I like to use is that 𝗏𝗏𝗁𝗏. It's very good because it has images, it has text, it has dates, icons, different things. So for this one, I'm going to use image. Once you go to image, you will see different images that you can use. you have avatars, you have logos and the likes. Airbnb. I'm going to click on this Airbnb and put apply all. It's just going to like fill it with random images from this list or from this array. Yeah, so you can see it looks really good. So that's what content rule does. So instead of you just having dummy images, I mean all these are still dummy images, but instead of you just having the same thing over and over again, like give your audience something interesting to look at. So this one looks more interesting now, right? Okay, so that's for plugins. That's for plugins. If you don't have any plugin at all on your Figma, this is how to start. You go to plugins, then over here you have your recently used plugins. If you don't have any plugin at all, you just go to manage plugins. This is where you go, manage plugins. So here you will see all the available plugins. Okay, the last method or the last way of bringing plugins to your file or to your Figma is by going to Figma community. So you come here, this is Figma community, discover community made libraries, plugins, icon sets and more. So you come here, you can just see different categories of plugin: editing and effects, development, file organization, widgets. So if you go to this editing and effects, you will see all of this. The last thing, wow, the video is about to end. I'm pretty excited, to be honest. I really enjoyed making this video. And the last one, so the last one is shortcuts. And shortcuts are, I mean, I can't possibly list out all the shortcuts, but if you want to have a good grasp of shortcuts, you have to keep practicing them. You have to keep using them. You can't master all the shortcuts in 1 year, to be honest. You can't. There are some that I know, but I don't even use as much. And love, use and disuse. If you don't use something as much, you tend to not use them because you don't use them often. So if you want to check shortcuts or you want to have access to all the shortcuts available, come to this question mark here at your corner, help and resources. You will see keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so once you do that, just go over this, click on each one. You can see that there are a lot, there are so much. So all these blue ones are the ones that I use. The gray ones, I don't use them. These multiplayer cursors, I mean, I don't even know what it means. Zoom, sometimes I use zoom. Text, I use text. Shape, yeah. Selection, yes, a lot. Then edit, transform, arrange, rarely. Components, not really. I just use this detached instance. It's like the most useful one to me. Then for layout, you can customize your keyboard. My keyboard is generic, and they're even telling you that if you change it, let's say you change it to UK Mac, they're telling you that Figma keyboard shortcuts won't automatically change if you change your system keyboard layout. So they are not saying that their own shortcuts are going to change to fit your stuff, but just know that this is where you can change the layout of your keyboard. I don't really know the implication of that, but play with it in your free time. Maybe you will know, and then you can share your knowledge. But basically, that brings us to the end of this video. You have all you need to get started as a UI designer. We've talked about everything, really. We've covered everything: introduction to Figma, the interface, basic shapes and elements, designing layouts, prototyping, collaboration and sharing, and all the other useful features. If you did enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, share to all your friends, especially those in UX design. If you have comments, subtraction, addition, anything you want to share, just use the comment section or send me a direct email by clicking on my profile. And yes, I actually have a new portfolio. Let me see if I can show you. I have a new portfolio and it's pretty good, to be honest. It has been blessing. Yes, this is my website, my new website, and it's just giving. It's really giving, and it's been really exciting building it. I didn't build it from scratch. I started using a Figma template, then I customized it to my own taste and all of that. But then I think the link is in my my profile. You can just click on it, you can go around, and if you need something like this, just contact me and let me know what your needs are. I build websites for individuals, businesses, different types of organizations, different types of needs. And I'm also available for freelance projects, design projects, UX research, UX design, everything. Just bring them to me. So yeah, I think that's it. We've come to the end of the video, and thank you all for sticking to the end. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of my content when they drop. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.